Among music's all-time greats, Michael Jackson ranks high. With each new album, he solidified his position as the people's favorite performer. Even though he passed away a long time ago, he is still widely recognized as the king of pop. Even among those who don't like his music, he is revered as a legendary figure by millions of people throughout the globe. However, his daughter Paris saw him as just dad, unattached to his illustrious musical status.
There have been times where I don't post anything for my dad's birthday, and people lose their minds. They tell me to kill myself. They're basically measuring my love for my own father based off of what I post.
Michael Jackson's persona, behind the stage appearance, songs, clothes, and fame, was known only by her. Despite the extravagant lifestyle that the public believed Michael Jackson led, he made sure that Paris kept her genuine personality, a fact that he often brought up in interviews on her youth. Additionally, she has provided solid evidence for something that everyone understood but had doubts about. To what did she attest? Find out by continuing to watch. Paris and Michael Jackson's death. On the sad day of June 25, 2009, fans all around the globe mourned the loss of Michael Jackson, the adored musician who had captured their hearts. In his Los Angeles home, he died of heart arrest brought on by a deadly cocktail of medications prescribed by his own doctor. Michael Jackson's daughter Paris was only 11 years old when he tragically passed away. Including something we knew but weren't sure of to begin with, Paris revealed a personal tidbit to Rolling Stone in 2017 that highlights the lovely friendship she enjoyed with her late father. She said that Michael was adorned with an African rope and jade bracelet when he passed away. Paris made a heartfelt homage by explaining how she is inseparable from her bracelet, which she wears all the time and refuses to give up. According to her, it even has his scent. Even a seemingly insignificant bracelet has deep emotional significance for Paris, also when he isn't around. This next piece of information will hit close to home. Paris has spoken publicly about how her bond with her father extends beyond this world, even making an appearance in her nightmares. His constant presence is something she can't help but sense. Michael Jackson has had an impact on Paris beyond her personal life and into her artistic endeavors. While discussing her first album, Wilted, Paris gave credit to her father for having a profound effect on her creative process. Whether it's intentional or not, she thinks he will always have some say in her decisions. When Paris was a little girl, she grew raised in an atmosphere that fostered artistic expression thanks to her creative father. The impact of her father, Michael, on Paris Jackson's music is something that she discusses often. I think all the negativity just comes from jealousy. He was just talented and so kind-hearted that people just feel the need to hate, explains her. It's not just about trying hard, it's also about how his ideas sneak into her songs without her even realizing. Being with Michael and his creative mind taught her a lot, according to her. His lessons and ideas are like treasures. Paris Jackson mentions her famous and rich father, Michael Jackson, as really humble on her first album. He made sure his children maintained their modesty, despite his status as one of the most revered artists of all time. Having fame and fortune does not make one superior to another, according to Paris, who learned that lesson from her dad. Being constantly surrounded by his brilliance, Paris feels like she learned a lot. But that's not all. The interview with Naomi Campbell was Paris's chance to speak about her youth. According to her dad made sure that she didn't just see the beautiful things, but also learnt the vital things. So that she might have a greater understanding of life, he brought her to various locations, even if they weren't very remarkable. I was conceived in Paris from what I've been told, which is part of why I was named Paris. Born in LA, California, and was kind of raised everywhere. But I mean, we spent a few years up north in like Solvang, Santa Barbara area, but I was raised kind of everywhere, like the East Coast, the South, the UK, Europe, the Middle East, like we grew up everywhere, recalls Paris. Even while discussing sensitive topics like family history, Paris's dad was forthright. He did not sugarcoat the truth, but rather informed her of the ways in which Columbus harmed the indigenous people. This demonstrates his desire for his children to have an authentic understanding of the world. Paris spoke out about her childhood in a conversation with Naomi Campbell. According to her, Her father, Michael, had a strong desire for her to have a well-rounded education. Therefore, he took her on many adventures, even to developing nations. Even when it came to the harsh realities of the past, Michael thought it was important to tell it as it was. Instead of telling Paris that Christopher Columbus was a hero, he laid forth the facts of his deeds. Paris spoke further about her father's influence on her upbringing in another interview. Michael, she claimed, didn't want to shield her from reality. On the contrary, he wanted her to know it for what it really is, not for the pretty pictures. A good education was valued highly by the Jacksons. Paris Jackson often discusses her father's emphasis on education. In an interview she gave a while back, she mentioned how her parents really wanted her to succeed academically while also enjoying life. She spoke about how he incentivized reading by offering her 5 items from Items R Us in exchange for reading 5 books, after which he would inquire about her thoughts on the novels. Michael clearly valued intelligence and a thirst for knowledge in his children. Homeschooling and tattoos for Paris. The Jackson children had to juggle school and touring before Michael's untimely death. In addition to attending traditional classes, they also went on field excursions across the nation and even abroad to further their education. Unlike other children, Paris Jackson had an unconventional childhood. The first 12 years of her life, she said to Harper's Bazaar, were spent being educated at home, meaning she mostly picked up knowledge from adults in her life, including family members or teachers. The secluded upbringing that Paris and her brothers had as a result of their homeschooling precluded them from interacting with the general population. Whenever Paris and her siblings Jackson were out in public, they would wear masks or veils to conceal their faces. I don't really think it was an option for me to go and be a vet or a nurse, that wasn't really in the cards for me. I was born into something and I just have to keep it going, according to her. At this moment, do you feel at ease being out in public? Then, it's all Paris has ever known, she adds. Candace reports that in a 2013 interview, Paris discussed the reasoning for their decision. She said that Michael Jackson, her father, wanted his children to grow up unrecognized so that they might experience the same normalcy that he had. Paris Jackson attributes her strong moral compass to her father, Michael Jackson. Paris discussed the lasting impact of her father's lessons on her life in an interview with Willow Smith for Red Table Talk. Someone had inquired about her plans to carry on her father's work, she said. The positive things she had learnt from him sprang to her as a result of this. According to her, she lives by these principles daily. Despite difficulties, she stresses the need of being modest, kind, and tolerant. It becomes better. Be kind to those who have wronged you as much as to those who have been good to you, according to Paris. Being nice is also vital, in her opinion. In private, these principles were instilled in Paris by her father when she was a child, and she holds them dear even now. Her ambitions to be a performer and entertainer are being pursued. She still aspired to be famous herself, despite her renowned dad. Everything she receives, she claims, will be earned. Honesty and being one's authentic self are important to Paris Jackson. These were things that her father had taught her, and she held them dear. Despite her father's influence, she is resolute in her goal to forge her own path. She thinks that one must work hard in order to achieve success. Michael Jackson instilled in his daughter Paris the importance of embracing her Black heritage and gave her a strong sense of identity. Despite their skin color differences, Michael made sure that Paris was aware of and appreciated their common history. Paris discussed the impact of her father's teachings on her in an interview with Rolling Stone published in 2017. She expressed her self-identification as Black. Paris demonstrated her faith in her dad's advice by recalling instances when Michael urged her to embrace her Black identity with pride. Because her father, Michael Jackson, suffered from vitiligo, Paris Jackson struggled to embrace her own appearance. While speaking with Rolling Stone, she brought up this subject. Some people, Paris is aware, say she doesn't represent her Black heritage. A lot of people who don't know her assume she's white, she added. However, not everyone concurs with Paris's statement. Wendy Williams was not a fan of Paris's remarks, particularly those pertaining to her fair complexion, after reading an article on her. Paris, in turn, pondered Wendy's incessant preoccupation with her family. Do you share Wendy's opinion? Paris Jackson's symbolic tattoos were a way for her to reflect the close relationship she had with her father, Michael Jackson. Her father is the subject of 9 of her more than 80 tattoos, which she revealed in a 2017 interview with Rolling Stone. These tattoos represent their connection and are a permanent memorial to him. The death of her father continues to afflict Paris, even after all these years have passed. In order to find solace and pay tribute to his memories, she made the decision to permanently tattoo these symbols into her flesh. Paris expressed her desire for tattoos representing joy during the conversation, saying that Michael was the one constant in her life. Among her tattoos is one that reads, "Faith, Trust, and Pixie Dust," which is reminiscent of Michael's favorite figure Peter Pan and Paris's moniker Tinkerbell. Michael also included some phrases in his letter that said, "She is the queen of my heart," in another tattoo. These tattoos serve as a constant reminder of Michael's love for Paris and her feelings for him. The significance of Paris Jackson's piercings extends well beyond their aesthetic value. She and her parents take great pride in her extensive body modification, which was detailed in an article published in LVR magazine. According to Paris, it's not the individual piercings that matter, but rather the sum of them. Some of the symbols that she alluded to, a sunburst, a feather, and a dragon, tell tales about her connection with Michael. That is really adorable, isn't it? The way Paris Jackson approaches her job is greatly impacted by her renowned father. Michael Jackson was a man who put in long hours and gave his all to his music. This quality has been passed on to Paris, who uses it in her own pursuits. In response to the question, "Do you think that acting is your calling?" she says, "Music is my favorite thing in the entire world, so definitely that. But I do enjoy acting a lot." Even as an adult, she emulates her father's level of passion and concentration while working on her music projects. Paris turns to music as a soother when times become rough. She is able to channel her energy and concentration into her artistic endeavors as a result. In 2019, when Paris was going through a rough patch and required medical assistance, this was particularly true. She took solace in her music while she was the center of attention in the media. She found that producing music helped her cope and feel better. That is very uplifting, isn't it? As Michael Jackson's daughter, I had a challenging upbringing. Paris felt an immense amount of pressure from being constantly seen by the public. Because of the paparazzi, she suffered from anxiety, hypervigilance, and hallucinations. Michael insisted that his children always wear masks whenever they went outside. Paris is grateful that her dad is doing his best to keep them out of the press, but she is hypersensitive to sounds because of how much attention they received. The fear she feels, similar to post-traumatic stress disorder, is triggered by this. Paris shared anecdotes of her father's life and the difficult moments they endured together. In contrast to Michael's unconventional upbringing, he hoped his children would enjoy a typical childhood. He envisioned them traveling to Chuck E. Cheese and Toys R Us, among other commonplace activities, and sharing in the fun of watching movies and snacking on junk food. Once upon a time, Paris just thought about her dad. She had no idea he was renowned all around the globe. Oh, that's not all. Here you may see it. Neverland, a massive theme park spanning 2,700 acres, was Jackson's home as a child. There were a lot of regulations that Michael Jackson's daughter had to obey, even if it seemed like life was easy. According to an interview Paris gave to Rolling Stone, her dad, Michael's daughter, they had to be good students and show up to school every day if they wanted to go on rides anytime they wanted. On weekends, they could simply go to the movies or play with the animals. These benefits would be taken away from them if they disobeyed the regulations. However, Paris had a positive impression of her stay in Neverland. Even after Michael passed away, she went back to the location and told Event magazine that the breathtaking beauty made her cry. Neverland meant a lot to her, and this visit proved it. A businessman called Ron Burkle was renovating Neverland as of 2022. However, its significance in Paris's life demonstrates the singularity of her upbringing. Out in the limelight, Paris saw a new side of her famous father, Michael Jackson. His spectacular performances are what people remember him for, but he also demonstrated his culinary skills at home. Michael found solace in the kitchen, away from the prying eyes of the media, as he prepared mouth-watering meals for his daughter. Paris was able to form a genuine bond with her father in their kitchen, away from the spotlight, thanks to this aspect of him. An appreciation for good food brought them closer together. Even though Michael had a personal chef called Niall, his culinary abilities were remarkable. They began to look forward to cooking together as a means to connect on a deeper level and have meaningful talks. Paris will always remember her dad's world-renowned fried chicken, which he cooked with such pride. The kitchen became a site of deep familial connection as Michael used these sessions to teach his daughter valuable life lessons and pass them on to her. Paris Jackson, daughter of the legendary Michael Jackson, shares a profound connection with her father through their love for cooking and his musical legacy. In various public appearances, such as commemorating Michael's 60th birthday and attending the MJ the Musical on Broadway, Paris and her brother Prince honor their father's memory and continue his charitable work. Despite Michael's initial reservations, Paris pursued her passion for music, releasing her solo album Wilted in 2020. She credits her father for instilling in her the courage to follow her dreams and strives to embody his resilience and creativity in her own career. While Paris's eclectic music taste reflects her father's influence, she is carving her own path in the industry. As she navigates her journey, she cherishes the memories and values her father imparted to her, aiming to emulate his spirit of determination and artistic inspiration. Do you listen to Paris's music? If so, which of her songs brings back memories of her dad the most? Put your thoughts down below.